Hi, this is a conversation with Daniel Himmelstein, and he's a developer of new informatic approaches to understand and cure complex diseases. Daniel, what is the importance of accessibility and communication in science?
I think science will only operate to its highest potential when the findings of science are communicated not only within the community, but to people outside of science. I think that you need a structure of science which is understandable, which is easily consumed by the people who it matters to. And I think for science to progress in the fastest way possible and most efficiently, the results of previous experiments need to be available to everyone. So I believe in a system of where researchers make their data available, and the publications also are in a format which is available and reusable for other researchers.
Where are we now in this process?
I think there are some encouraging trends. For example, the NIH requires that research that they fund, a version of it is submitted to something called PubMed Central. But I don't think that this is totally sufficient because there can still be various copyrights and licenses on that material. I would like a format of science where all federally funded research is open and reusable by all other researchers and people without any institutional access.
What makes you passionate?
When I see a problem, I want to fix it. And I can get incredibly annoyed when I see a problem, but I try to channel that anger or distaste for the problem into a solution.
Any favorite problem?
Well, I think this problem of research not being accessible, or sometimes people doing research and not sharing their data, or leaving out a crucial step for it to be replicated, is something that I find to be ethically wrong and that I would get upset about.
Have you ever felt like you are in a dead-end alley or something in the area of researching and developing tools?
Yes. I think sometimes working on my project, if something doesn't go the way you want it to go, you feel like you're stuck. But that's the time to go back to the drawing board and really use your despair as a positive emotion to say, why am I in this position and how do I make sure I get past it and not end up in the same position? And I think that's potentially, it takes a lot of confidence and was one of the hardest things about being a researcher, learning how to use your failures to beget success.
And when you face success, do you think that you can manage it or you need to manage it?
No. I have a philosophy that's very open, and I guess I can let other people see success, and I'm happy with that. I can let other people judge me, and I'm fine with that. I know I'm confident in the way that I myself progress.
You have mentioned that it is important to recognize that the person is the owner of their medical information.
Yes.
What is preventing this to happen?
I think right now our medical records are scattered through all the different clinics and hospitals that we visited. There's no standard open format or central repository where all your health information goes. I think that's crucial because the patient's the one who's most interested in their own health. And it would be nice and get patients involved in a meaningful and healthy way if they were able to see their progression over time, if they were able to understand more of their health and biometrics and previous medical record, I think. Keeping those records in the domain only of the doctor really is a disservice to the patient and doesn't fully understand who the medicine is trying to help, which ultimately is the individual patient.
Daniel, do you have heroes? Who are your heroes? Who or what inspires you?
My mentors inspire me because I credit them with so much of my own development. I don't think I would have made it to here or been interested even in the pursuits that I currently am interested in if it weren't for the great coaches and mentors who I've had throughout my life. So I tried to recapitulate what they've done with me to help spread the lessons and help educate and mentor the same way they did to me. And my dad also has always said this, the best hero or the person you should respect most is a teacher.
Daniel, if a student approaches you and asks, how could I get involved in research, in developing tools or innovate, what would you recommend?
I would recommend that now there's so much information available and so much data accessible, especially in the bioinformatics realm, that if you have an interesting question about biology, there's a good chance that you can turn to available data to help solve it. So students anywhere in the world with any sort of curiosity can perform open research without an institution. And I think that's incredibly empowering and promising for a society at large.
Finally, most people would refer to you as an extraordinary person. Do you consider yourself extraordinary? And do you think that there should be different types of education for people who are considered extraordinary or not?
I consider myself extraordinary based on my own ideas and my own expectations. And I think that varies for every individual. So I think every individual should find themselves extraordinary. And if they don't, they should say, how can I change myself to, at least for me, become extraordinary? But I don't think that that should be a metric for judging. And I think that everyone should have the same education, and that a good teacher will tailor a specific education to a specific student. But I do think every student should work on understanding how they're extraordinary and what their goals are, and how they can, based on those goals, become extraordinary for themselves.
Daniel, thank you very much for sharing these ideas and experiences with us, and thank you too.
Thank you.